So smartwatches, there are so many out there, and there are some good ones and some bad ones. And luckily, this particular watch here that I'm reviewing today, the 70 May, the Saphir, is actually one of those good ones. It's a decent watch that I've been using now for a few days. And like other smartwatches, it's got its tracking functions. It has GPS built into it. We get continual heart rate monitoring. We've got sleep monitoring as well with this, stress monitor. Lots and lots of features that most of those watches have out there. And where does it get that name from, Saphir? That's because this particular watch actually has a sapphire covered screen, which for the price is very good. An excellent build quality, as you'll see. And in this in-depth review, I'm going to test it out, go through the features, show you the application, and even do a GPS accuracy test and compare that heart rate monitoring to another watch I own. So along with the watch inside the box, you do get a user manual here that is in various different languages, and our 2 pogo pin port USB charger. So just use one of your phone chargers you've got, any USB charger, and even a computer as well. You plug it in, and it takes approximately 2 hours to fully charge this smartwatch. Let's have a look at the build quality on this one. It is excellent, and I do believe the build really is that of a watch that's probably twice the price of this one. So you're getting excellent value for money in terms of the finish. It is really that good. There's no sharp edges anywhere. Now we do have sapphire on this. So sapphire glass is much more scratch resistant than say Gorilla Glass, which is very good to have on a watch because I'm a little bit clumsy and I often sometimes bang my watch into things. So it's good to know that it's probably not going to get scratched, this one here. So we have 2 hardware buttons, and you can see this little hole here. This is actually a microphone. But what this particular smartwatch does lack is a loudspeaker. Unfortunately, there is no loudspeaker within this, so we cannot handle calls. We can only get the notifications on the screen, and I'll show you more about that later on this in-depth review. So these buttons have a very good feel to them. Now this does have a water resistant value, well, depth down to 50 meters, so yes, you can swim with it. And on the underside here, you can see there our heart rate monitor and the sensors right there. 2 pogo port pin connectors for the charging, as mentioned. It's approximately 2 hours to charge it, and there is a quick release here for this strap. So if I give it a bit of a pull, that strap there, you can see the rubber they have used is got a little bit of a flex to it, and it's a very nice rubber too, the finish of it, and it will not give you a rash too for those people that sometimes have issues with some of the straps out there. No, it's quality materials here. We have a great screen on this particular smartwatch. It is 1.78 inches. It is an AMOLED, and you can stick it on an always-on display option. I'm just going to put it on for 5 minutes before it times out so you can see it clearly here in my video. Now, the resolution of the screen is 368 by 448, and that gives us a very respectable 326 ppi. So it looks sharp enough. And being AMOLED, it also does fare quite well with its 500 nits of maximum brightness in direct sunlight, as you can see now. It actually looks worse on camera than it does in person, so I'm not actually doing it justice, but I've got no issues when I was training, when I was out using this, to actually see the screen. So if you swipe down from the top, you get your notifications, which are going to pop up there, you can see, okay? And you can set what notifications you want through the application. You could have it show WhatsApp, whatever application. You can actually show all of them, even a game. A game notification can come up and come through on the phone right here, on the watch, sorry. And if I swipe up, you can see then we've got some settings, quick toggles really from this one right here. Now I will briefly show you the settings. So we've got watch faces, and there are a few to choose from. You can jump onto the app and you can get more of them as well. So this is one I actually prefer because it gives me a bit of information. This one's quite nice too with Mars, and you can see it spinning there. Now, if you swipe here from the side, you can see your activity. So this is just telling us, for me, for example, my steps, calories burnt right there, and stress mode, energy levels. So because I've already gone for a, 14-kilometer bike ride, that is now about half your weather. And how did you sleep as well? So the sleep monitoring information is stored in there too. And you can customize this. You can set this to where you want. Heart rate monitor, more on that later on when I actually go out and test this and do my real world test with it. Does work very well, and I'm having no problems. Of course, it's showing nothing right now because I don't have it on my wrist. Makes sense. Now back into those settings, you can also tap the button here at the top. So we've got all the little icons there for the various different modes we have, and it's very self-explanatory, straightforward right there too. So I'll find settings again, and there's just a few more things I want to show you. So display, we can actually set this on to turn off after 5 seconds, always on display mode. And it's pretty straightforward. Now, there is also the race to wake feature, which does work reasonably well, but I had to increase the sensitivity because sometimes I found myself flicking my wrist up, repeating it a few times to get it to actually show. That's the raise to wake. Do not disturb mode. Heart rate monitor. Now, a lot of people will be interested in this, that you can get an alert if you get an abnormal heart rate that's very high. So, for example, you're just sitting down, but your heart rate's quite high, up at 120 or something. It'll let you know, which is good. If you've got a heart condition, these are handy features to have. So if I move my wrist like this, the display comes on automatically. And as mentioned, that I've just increased the sensitivity of it a little bit for my own needs, and that way it will come on, as you can see. Now the UI, just to point out that it is actually very smooth. It is good. The touch response as well, I find to be good. You can see when I scroll through here, there's no real lag. It's as fast as most other watches out there. I've used a few that have been very laggy, but this one is quite good. You can see going through all these different menus, the performance and the touch response is good. And let me run you through the application, the features it has. So on Google's Play Store, or you can get it from the App Store, you can jump in and download 70 May Health. That's it. That's the app you need. So the features we have with this are very similar to other smartwatches I have been reviewing in the channel. There's been a couple. So it will count your steps, your calories. You can see your stress. You can also see information on your sleep. So that's the sleep tracking feature. It has energy levels. So it calculates that once you've slept a good night, and it works out your calories you're burning, your heart rate on your energy, kind of like a human battery here. So it's telling me I got 55% because I have been for an intense, well, semi-intense bike ride this morning. Sleep last night, so I'll just show you quickly sleep tracking here. So for once, it was actually a good night, which is kind of rare for me, but 85 is the rating I have been given, and it breaks down everywhere. You can see here your deep sleep, light sleep, rapid eye movement phase, and how long I was awake. And it seems actually pretty accurate because I've got young children. I had to get up in the middle of the night. And yeah, that probably was a couple of times I got up. 42 minutes. That seems pretty good to me. Compared to my other watches, I'm going to say that the sleep tracking seems to be more or less, I would say, accurate compared to what I'm seeing results on other phones. Now, if I get out of this, I'll just show you a few other things here. I won't spend too long on this, but if you jump into the device, you can see there it is, the Saphir. And the remaining battery life, clicking on this, you can change the watch face here. So you can go through all those, change them. Now you can also customize a few things as well. So the quick card manager, which I showed you with the phone there, you can adjust the order of things you want in there. You can move it up or down. See, you're able to just swap it over how you want this when you go swiping to the left and you see that come up. You can add things like music if it's not there. You can hide some things. Now this is where you can customize that lower button. I keep it for workouts. I think this is the easiest, but hey, you can change it. You see you've got options here to change it over to whatever you want. If you want to see the weather then when you tap it, you want to see other apps or your notifications or whatever, then you can do that, which is quite handy. The Alexa integration as well, that is right there. User guide under additional settings, some very handy things in here too as well for like syncing the weather. If you don't want to sync it, then simply disable it there. But this is where you check for your firmware update. So make sure you do that when you first get it because yes, there is actually an update. Now there's another thing we can do as well through the settings. This is under you in app settings. Very important for a lot of people, third-party services. So if you use Google Fit, we can do this. We can then incorporate that to have it pull the information through from their application into your Google Fit account, which is great. So a lovely day today to test out the GPS and the fitness tracking. And I'm going to go for a bike ride now. And it'll be approximately 1 hour and 30 minutes, 1 hour 40 minutes. And we'll check on how much battery life I'm going to lose and also the GPS accuracy. So right now you can see with the watch that I have 92% battery at the moment. So let's see how much I lose. So far so good. I've only done about 3.5 kilometers and I'm about to start a big climb, which is to go right up this hill here. And I'm going to push it really hard. Now, normally I can get my heart rate up to the 170 kind of mark, a good anaerobic workout just to burn those calories. And the GPS currently is reporting about a difference of 0.3 compared to my phone and other devices. So really it's nothing so far. It seems to be quite accurate. Okay, so I've just done the climb. Now my peak heart rate I saw at about 165. The other watches are reporting about the same. So it does seem the heart rate monitor is working fine. So normally I would be riding down that trail, which is down there, but we had a storm and it's washed it all out and it is super rocky. So unfortunately, this mountain biking trip is going to be, well, a little bit of road, which I don't normally do. I prefer actually the trails. Roads are dangerous, of course. But I'm going to head now down to the coast. Here we are, I made it to the coast, and what does the watch say? So the watch is reporting, a little hard to make out with the background, that I've done 7.36 kilometers, and I see on my Google Fit it is 7.38, so there's a very small difference there. Okay, so I made it back, and how much battery did I lose? Well, I started out with 92%, and when I got back, it was actually 82. But since then, I've been recording a few shots outside with the screen on all the time, so that is why it is now 78% battery life. So how did it track the trip right here? So 16.14 kilometers is what I got from the watch here. And let's compare this to another watch I also have that I used at the exact same time, and it's 16.35. So a very minor difference there. So it looks to me, I know this watch is very accurate, this one that I do have. So it's looking like the accuracy to me is pretty much spot on, just a tiny bit of margin of error there with it. And that is great because one of the other watches that I have reviewed previously in the channel, there was a difference of a couple of kilometers, and this is only just 0.2 or so. So that is actually perfectly fine there. So you can see the information of the calories I have burned, average heart rate, and you can also see now the speed by kilometer is broken down there as well. Now you can see the fastest speed I got up to as well on the cycle. That was going downhill, of course, and my heart rate peaked at 172. So heart rate monitor, is it accurate? I believe it is. It is exactly more or less the same as the other watch too that I've been testing. Other ones, more or less, maybe just a few heartbeats out, but basically it is the same and it is very good. Now this gap here is where I took the watch off. I took it off because I wanted to take a photo of it. That's why it's there, okay? It wasn't because there was some sort of problem with the watch at all, no. So an all-rounded great smartwatch here because the battery life to me is very, very good. That's a huge positive, a big pro to have this battery life on this. So that little exercise that I did, that mountain bike ride, for 1 hour and over 30 minutes of GPS use and constantly, really constantly looking at the screen all the time, I only lost 10% battery life. I went from 92% down to 82, and I think that is excellent. So most people will get their claimed about 10 days or even over a week. It's all going to vary on your use, of course. If you train more for longer periods, if you're constantly looking at the screen, then yes, it's going to be lower. But that is a big positive, that battery life, because some other watches out there, the ones that I avoid, have terrible battery life. Ones that only last for 2 days and you're charging every second day, or will only make 1.5 days. And that to me is just super frustrating and annoying and not a smartwatch for me. Now the tracking, GPS tracking seems to be very accurate compared to, say, my phone and other watches. I'm not seeing too much of a difference there. Minor discrepancy, but it is nothing. It's like what was it, 0.3 or 2 or something kilometers, which is, in the scheme of things, that's nothing. That is very, very good. Heart rate monitoring as well. I know that climb, the typical kind of heart rate I get up to when I push hard, around 170 or so, that seems accurate to me. So very good tracking there. Sleep monitoring, also working well. And we've got a little stress test on there. You've got some weather that pulls through. Now, I don't know who their weather service is, but we're actually saying that it's going to rain, or it was raining for me when I looked at the weather. And it was a sunny day, as you saw. So I don't know. They need to change their weather provider, I think, for that. Now, the watch has got a great build quality. Is it 100% perfect? No, there is actually one, maybe two things that it is missing for me. Loudspeaker. So I can get an incoming call, alert, I get the notifications, I can see who is calling, if it's in my contacts that is. I can reject the call, but I cannot answer it via the watch, sadly. That is because of the missing hardware, no loudspeaker. So it would be nice to be able to just tap like you can on other watches and go, hello, who is it? Am I at home for that delivery? Yes. Easy to do that. And I know for a lot of people that's not actually going to be an issue. And the other thing too is because there's no loudspeaker, we don't get those voice updates when you're training. So when you go for a ride, it's great to get the feedback, to have that watch shout out and say that you have ridden 3 kilometers, your average heart rate is 92, and your average speed and all that sort of information. But every kilometer, it vibrates, and you get all that information there anyway. It is right there, so that's good. And of course the screen. Great brightness, about 500, close to 500 nits. It's very visible. It actually came out a little bit worse in the outdoor shots I showed you. So it's a great screen. Very good watch, smooth performance. Really, I think for what they're charging for this, it is quite a good deal and it does come recommended from me. So thank you so much for watching this in-depth, detailed review of the 70 May, the Saphir, their new watch. And I do hope to see you back in the channel with more up and coming videos. Bye for now.